afternoon, hello, my name is Daniel.
My name's Lee.
This is a narration video about a bike race that we did a few weeks ago now, Lee, where we let a breakaway go without one of our teammates in, and I tried everything I could to bring it back and failed, but we're going to talk about it, aren't we?
That's right, yeah.
Should we get stuck straight in?
Absolutely.
Let's go. Now, Lee, you've watched a lot of my bike racing videos in the past, and I've narrated them on my own, but you've joined me today at my request, so thank you very much. You feel like
Thanks
you can add
for
a bit
having me.
No problem. You feel like you can add a bit of a different perspective, hey?
That's it, yeah.
So what am I doing here? Well, a bucket load of watts for one. I know that the breakaway has gone. We are on lap 3 of 4. There's a break of 2 up the road. There's Lee and myself and one other teammate, Wayne, who's in the bunch as well. And then another team in the race called Sprint, they have a rider in the break. So they're not going to be chasing, but they're the biggest other team in this race. My race here, because this race finishes up a hill and I'm not a climber, is to bring this breakaway back. So I'm doing many things. I'm trying to motivate other people. I'm trying to ride as fast as I can. And Lee, what do you think? How am I doing so far?
Well, yeah, there's lots of encouragement of getting these riders to pull through, and really it's working because, you know, they're pulling through as a chain. You know, we're over 30 miles an hour. It's obviously hard, you know, you're doing 500 watts here to come through the line. And I think, you know, encouraging people, saying the things you did, you know, the race is up the road, you know, we're not going to win it if we don't chase the break, you know, they're all the right things to say.
I've seen a few triathlon videos of Alistair Brownlee in his prime at draft legal racing, absolutely shouting at people. And we are amateurs, so I'm never going to do that. But I'm definitely saying things like, you know, if you want to win, then we need to bring this breakaway back. And the more of us pull through, it's only shorter turns and just got to keep the pace up. We knew that the break had about a minute, and we've got about 30 to 40 minutes of racing left. So there's enough space there to bring a break back, isn't there, right?
Absolutely.
Just got to keep people working. Now, fair play to all these riders who did work, and actually fair play to those who didn't, because everybody's got their own objectives in the race. I quite like having my own objective, and that is now to bring this breakaway back. Now, we're going down a slight gradient. We've got a decent tailwind. I'm doing 37 miles an hour, so I'm not going to be doing loads of power. And I'm actually not that bothered about shouting at people to do some work, because I know that we're going to need that later on. But as you can see here, quite a few other people clearly quite motivated to bring the break back. A lot of people are in small teams like ourselves, maybe 2 or 3 riders, or maybe on their own. So they're probably thinking similar to me. And spirits are high early on in a chase, aren't they? You think you're going to bring them back dead easy.
Well, yeah, you've obviously inspired these riders, you know, they've got the bit between the teeth. I'm here on your wheel. I'm just going to pull through and do a turn, because if my teammate's encouraging riders to pull through and I've got the same jersey on and I'm not pulling through, then why should they, you know?
I mean, I think I did say something to you like, Lee, don't, you know, sit in or don't pull through, but why are you doing that?
Well, it's actually not that much more difficult to roll through and do a turn than it is to try and maintain a position in the bunch. And obviously you're automatically moving forwards if you roll through. And like I say, just show willing is going to hopefully encourage others to do the same. Yeah. I'm not putting myself into difficulty though, is the main point.
Got it. Now I just saw that a bit of frustration from that rider because the chain got broken up. Now Sprint, who are that team who just rolled through and sort of sat up, they've got to ride up the road. They don't want us chasing. So they're absolutely doing the right thing, and they're getting in the middle of the chase and they're just sitting up and they're just getting in the way. They're not riding dangerously at all. They're not pushing people or shouting at people. They're just riding their bikes and just going a little bit too slow for us to be able to bring them back, and that is absolutely fine. This is a bit of a touchy moment here, a bit of a driver taking his time turning. Anyway, the chase continues. So we have a few more of those difficulties during that chase, but that's just part of bike racing. Now I speed this up a little bit because this just remained the same for a while, but I feel like we're making progress. There's a Sprint rise on the left, but they're really getting in the way, Lee. How do you deal with a team like this in this sort of situation?
There's not really a lot you can do, to be honest. It's very difficult, and they played a blinder really. You know, it was a good team performance, and yeah, they're just getting in the chain, letting the wheels go, breaking it up, you know, soft tapping. It's just good riding. Yeah.
So this is lap 3 of 4, and we go up a hill in a minute, and I'm not a climber, so if I'm honest, I didn't think I was going to get up this climb this time. So I'm not emptying the tank before the climb, so I'm going to give it a good go, but I'm definitely sat at around threshold. And when I hit this climb, I think, right, I've given everything I can. If I get dropped here, then I get dropped here. But I do actually make it up this climb, just about clinging onto the back of the group. But I'm feeling absolutely on the edge here, Lee. How are you feeling at this point?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same really, but I think I probably have a bit of a different view. I know we're going to talk about climbs in another video, but I'm trying to stay as far forwards as I can without putting myself in a massive amount of difficulty, but it's still pretty difficult. Yeah, it's just not nice climbing as a heavier rider really.
Yeah. When I was halfway up that climb, all I was thinking was, I need to get to the top while still in contact with the bunch, but for as little power as possible. So I was like looking behind me, judging how many more riders have got to come past me, how fast are they coming past me and so on. But as you can see here, I've clung onto the back of the group. We're now hitting into a slight headwind section and this is flat for the remainder of the lap. So I'm thinking, right, let's get chasing this breakaway. There is one rider who's just attacked off the front. Did that person go over the climb, do you know? Or was that on the flat bit before I got back to the front?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't spot where they went, but it's come to nothing.
So, business as usual then. This is a slight headwind here. In my mind, I'm thinking, this is where it's hard, so a breakaway will probably be working well here, but surely they can't work as well as 5 or 6 riders who are working well together?
You wouldn't have thought so. I mean, I suppose we don't know what went off in the breakaway and, you know, what sort of turns they were doing and how strong they were, but yeah, if you've got the numbers to your advantage, then you would think that you're going to bring it back.
So a sprint rider on my wheel, 2 of them now on my wheel. Now they're just going to sit there, aren't they, and not pull through. So I know that they're there, so I'm riding relatively hard. They roll through, and of course they just sit up, and you can see that, so you pull through straight away, don't you?
Yeah, and that's exactly why I've done it, because I want to stop them from disrupting things.
Even if they get on the front and they take it easy for 10, 20, 30 seconds, you're just dropping time, aren't you? And it just, it takes so much time to get that little splits back.
Yeah, I mean, one of the difficult things about amateur racing as well is time checks are sporadic, unreliable. You know, it's not like you've got a race radio and you're getting the splits in your ear and you know that when you push in, the gap's coming down and you get motivation, you've almost got nothing to go at.
We got one shout, didn't we, at the top of that climb, and I thought I heard 13 seconds. That's what I shouted to everybody. Turns out it was about a minute. Now, you've just rolled through here, and I'm just letting you go. Do you know I was letting you go or not?
No, I didn't know I was on my own. I think I get wind of it at some point when obviously nobody rolls through. But yeah, again, I'm not killing myself. Like earlier when I had that little gap, I'm just trying to ride tempo.
Yeah. My thought then was, if we're not going to catch the break, well, if third is the best we can get, third's easiest for you to get if you've not going to beat anybody up that hill the last time, isn't it? So if we can get you in between your groups. We didn't really give too much attention to that strategy, did we? Just that one time where we sort of thought it might play out like that, but maybe we should have.
Yeah, and I guess you just react to what's happening in the race and, you know, you let the gap go, and that's a perfectly valid tactic, and, you know, it might have paid off. I might have just rolled away and nobody responded, but as it happened, people closed the gap. Yeah. And you're right about the climb, you know, if I get there on my own, I've got a lot better chance than trying to ride up there with all these guys who weigh 30 kilos less than me.
Yeah. Now here I am just telling Felix, who rides for the Rimmel Recharge race team, that if we bring this break back, I'm going to ride for him, or he's going to win, or I can't remember exactly what I said, but sorry Felix if you're watching this, it was mostly a lie. But he does then start pulling through. Lee, I've started, instead of just shouting at the group, I've started selecting individual riders, thinking about if I know them and making them false promises basically to try and get them to work. But good old Felix pulling through, good lad. He's a good rider, to be fair. He could actually win this if he was in the right place.
Yeah, and you know, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. You say whatever you want to get people to work, to be honest. You know, tell them you'll pay them if
Emil Howell there was just on the front. He also rode the afternoon race on that day. Special shout out, because that is a brilliant ride from him. He finished in the front group of both races, which is pretty crazy. Now we get to the point now where we're maybe 6 or 7 minutes away from the hill where the race finishes. People are less willing to work, Lee, and I'm struggling to get them to pull through. What else can I do?
Well, yeah, I guess you're doing all you can, really. You're just going to have to try and empty the tank yourself if you've decided that there's nothing else for you in the race than pulling the brake back. I mean, here, some people have rolled through, so this is great, but yeah, you've just got to lead by example and, you know, if you've done your shouting and they're still not coming through, there's not a lot more you can do other than get on the front and send it, really.
Yeah, I think I was just recovering a bit there. We were doing 37 miles an hour. We don't need to go any faster. I was hoping there that the break, surely they're not pushing on the downhill, surely. You know?
Well, yeah, you would like to think that they're just, you know, if that's the place they're going to recover when they're going fast, if anywhere.
So these are the last couple of corners, and I'm just emptying the tank up until this point. I know that this is, we can't see the break. I thought if I turned left here and saw them, we might be able to catch them, but we couldn't even see them, could we? So sorry I couldn't bring it back, Lee. Well done, Team Sprint, for really playing those race dynamics to their advantage, and well done to everybody who raced.
Absolutely.